Hi there, Jules Poulin here, the business RMT, and I'm so excited to be sitting with Laura Freitag, who is a labor, employment, and human rights lawyer. Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jules.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and about how a lawyer can assist massage therapists.
So in terms of my background, I'm a management side labor and employment lawyer that also includes human rights law. I generally only act for employers, and those employers can range everywhere from a small business to a large multinational corporation. And where I come into play is to help them in all aspects of their business. My practice itself is very litigation focused. What that means is I'm involved in a lot of wrongful dismissal litigation, human rights proceedings, and grievance arbitrations. But I also have a lot of experience, and I also assist on what we call the solicitor side of law, which is the advisory side. And what that means practically is I'm retained by small businesses, large businesses, to give them advice before we've gotten to the litigation and human rights stage of the proceeding. So in terms of my service, I like to think that I help out in all things employment or work related that may arise over the course of your working life. With the pandemic, obviously that's been very interesting because it's really shined a light on the way in which our lives and work are so intertwined, and all the potential employment, labor, human rights, and just general life-related issues can arise during the course of your day-to-day life. So in terms of what I offer, it can be anything from I need a contract, okay, I have a contract for you. Or I need advice on how to disability manage. We have an employee who needs to be accommodated. How do I do that in a way that meets all of my human rights obligations as an employer or as someone who has independent contractors? Or I may get a call that says, I terminated an independent contractor. They're telling me I'm owed notice. How do I deal with that? And those are the times I sort of jump into the mix and try to help employers react to that. And my focus is on trying to fix all of those issues that may arise or be proactive about thinking about those issues so that other folks who are running the business can focus on what they do best, which is actually running the business.
Right, yeah. Awesome. So you're going to be giving 2 webinars for the business RMT. Tell us a little bit about the first webinar, which is the COVID, the law and massage therapy webinar.
So this one has obviously been an interesting one with respect to COVID. And I think what I'll do is I'll back up a bit. I've been advising RMTs and health practitioners in general for quite a few years. And one of my favorite things about advising RMTs practically is that there's a lot of focus on, okay, client focus, patient focus, health and well-being in particular. And so oftentimes when I'm engaged to help RMTs with their business, there's already an attunement to some of the issues that may arise.
Laura, tell us a little bit about how you can help RMTs in our industry.
Oh, wait. Sorry, yeah. Can you do just a quick introduction, just because it's going to be a brand new video put on YouTube. So sure. You just do a quick introduction and then jump into the questions. And then maybe refer back to like the first video.
How so? What do you mean?
Actually, don't refer back. I'll put a small bio for Laura at the bottom of it in case they don't see the first video. Don't refer back. I'll put a small bio about Laura. Okay, awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
So you want me to do the intro again?
Yeah, just do a quick intro, like this is Jules from the RMT, and then,
Okay. Hi there, Jules Poulin here, the business RMT, and I'm here with Laura Freitag, who is an employment, labor, and human rights lawyer. Hi, Laura, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Jules.
Great, it's a pleasure. So tell us a little bit about how you can help massage therapists and the massage therapy industry.
Well, let's start where I'm often retained by RMTs or other sort of similar business owners in what I would call adjacent health practitioner industries. And that is at 2 points. The first point is when the business has gotten big enough where people start to think, oh, I have a bunch of independent contractors working for me, and I haven't really thought about how I'm managing any of the legal issues. And sometimes it can be their accountants that say, have you thought about this? Or other times it can be their corporate lawyer saying, oh, well, have you looked at this? And that's the first point and where I'm often engaged. The second point where I'm engaged is where something has gone horribly wrong and the independent contractor relationship just maybe didn't work out the way you thought it would. And my preference is to be retained a lot earlier than that in the process for a number of reasons. And the most important one being is generally, if I can deal with something in a proactive fashion, I can help the business RMT minimize some of their legal obligations earlier on before something's gone wrong or before we've grown to a size where we haven't really been thinking about our legal obligations with respect to independent contractors. And so where I come in at the early stage is thinking about, okay, how do we want to organize the business? And it's very common to have independent contractors in the RMT world. There are also places that will have employees from time to time. But because there are legal differences between employees, independent contractors, and it is what I will call a spectrum, there's different ways you have to treat those individual workers. And knowing those differences early on can ensure that independent contractors remain true independent contractors and not something like a dependent contractor or even an employee, because this is always going to be a fact-specific analysis after the fact. And why does that matter? Because the obligations on ending a contract with an independent contractor is very different than the obligations you would have with respect to an employee. So how do I come into that? Well, I come in early and I come in and I hopefully do a good job of educating you about what is an independent contractor, what are the classic examples of that legal relationship, how do you need to treat them to ensure they remain an independent contractor, and if the hope is at some point, let's have these independent contractors become employees, or I want to take these people on as employees, then how do we do that in a way that makes good practical business sense, as well as minimizing your legal obligations as someone who's entering into contracts with these workers?
Mm-hmm. So this particular website is very important to me as someone who's been in the industry for a couple of decades. There are a lot of people who aren't necessarily hiring lawyers for their contracts. And they're actually like asking on Facebook for people to share their contracts. And then in a practical, which, not the greatest practice. And often what ends up happening in settings is that people are hired or people work as independent contractors, but their expectation as an independent contractor or how the clinic treats them kind of falls more into the employee category. And so it's never really been clearly defined what an independent contractor looks like in massage therapy and what an employee looks like in the massage therapy industry. And that's why it was really important for me to have you do this webinar, because I think that it would really aid people to understand what their rights are and what those definitions of roles are. So thank you very much for doing this workshop for us. Laura will be with us on September 21st for the Business RMT Independent Contractor Workshop. Thanks, Laura.